here we go. So today we are going to talk about fanfiction. Ooh. For those of you who don't know what fanfiction is, don't get into it. It's essentially a piece of writing where you kind of change the story in your way of like a book series, books, TV shows, movies. It's where you make your own story out of the characters and the setting and all that jazz. So in that sense, you have the whole fan and fiction. The fan writes the fiction of a certain show, movie, book, etc. You get it now? Fanfiction, I feel like, kind of used to be seen as something that was a little weird, like, ooh, those are those obsessive fans that write fanfiction. Ooh. But now I feel like it's becoming a little more acceptable and people don't make fun of it as much, and I actually feel like there's some big artistic qualities of writing fanfiction that you really need in your writing style that I will get to later. There are a lot of different types that I've seen before. There are some like where the characters are reverted to kids. There are some where, you know, slash fiction. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of that, where they put two characters together, usually of the same gender, that aren't canonically meant to be together in the show, or at least from what we know. There are also things called alternate universes, where it's pretty much all the same characters and all, but they put them in a completely different setting from the show. So that's a more common one. It's one that I like to write if I normally write fanfiction. But yeah, and there's a bazillion different types of AUs. Like, it's whoa. And I've seen fanfiction go as far as two characters from Supernatural, Dean and Castiel, being penguins. Yeah, this can get weird. There's also fanfiction called smut. So, and if you're not in the fanfic world of vocabulary, that essentially means sex. Yeah. It gets its own code word in the fanfiction world. I was actually just informed today of Monsters, Inc. smut between Mike Wazowski and his girlfriend, and I'm telling you, the fanfiction world knows no bounds. If you're gonna start reading it or writing it, know what you're getting into. So in its own way, fanfiction is its whole world and community of things, and it's messy, and it can be beautiful, and it can make you want to throw your computer out the window. In a good way though, in a good way. However, there are some things that a lot of fanfic writers will do in their fanfiction that can get a little irritating, and if you read it, you will catch on to it. If you don't, dear God, you're in for one big adventure. But if you're considering writing any, I have two big things that I don't like when I'm reading fanfiction that I will hopefully give you advice on so you know how to avoid it. The first tip is to avoid inserting yourself into the story, which is called self-insert. These normally become obvious to people that you know, and it normally becomes obvious because you insert this person in there. And I mean, you might not do it, but there are a lot of people that will do it, and then they make this character perfect, and it just becomes so dramatized, and their favorite character falls in love with them, and I think it's fair to say that most of us have done it before, though. And I don't want to stray you away from doing that. If you really want to put yourself into a story, that's okay. It happens. I'm not going to judge you for it. But if you want to do that, please try to make it realistic, and don't make yourself this perfect little human being, because we all know that we're not. And if you do that, it's gonna be a boring story. I'm sorry, I said it. What are you gonna do? The second tip I have is to make the already existing characters from the TV show, movie, book that you are writing a fanfic of to keep them in character as much as possible. This, I feel like, is actually one of the most important and most worth looked at parts of writing fanfiction. I feel like it's really hard to already have a character that has its set traits and to put it out there and to write them as close to the character as, oh my god, my eye. To write them as close to what they already have in the show as possible. This is actually something I have a lot of problems with when I write. I feel like I don't quite capture the character's traits as well as I could, or I might either overdo it or underdo it. I can't find the exact thing, and I mean, I've written plenty of fanfiction and people feel like I have done people in character. That did not sound right. Essentially, I feel like some people have thought I've done well with keeping the characters in character, but I mean, it can be really hard sometimes, and if it's hard for you to do it, don't worry. This just gives you an excuse to watch Netflix all day until you feel like you've grasped that character's core self. Well, that's really all I have about fanfiction. If you can think of something that you see in a lot of fanfiction that you want future fanfic writers to know, put it down in the comments, because we all need to know how to write fanfiction a lot better. We really do. So like this video if you liked it, and because I killed a giant ant with this shoe in the middle of filming while still somehow being able to keep my cool. It was big and got really close. And subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. Hopefully. I put out new videos every Tuesday, and yeah, whoa, it's too late to be talking right now. And if you're interested in seeing some of the fanfics I've written, I will put a link down to Archive of Our Own, to my account, that I have a lot of fics that I've written in. Don't judge me for some of them, they're not all bad, but I mean, that's subjective, that's up to you. You can tell me if you think they're bad or not, but you better be nice about it, because I'll cry. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday.